Hello, this is Ms. DB. In this video, we are going to look at the coordinate system assignment. So there's a few different things to do to review what you probably learned a long time ago, but we just want to make sure everybody's got it. So in number 1, it says to identify the coordinates of each point A through F. So you need to find point A and say what its coordinates are. So do something like this. Whoops. And the coordinates of A, remember it's always the x coordinate first and then the y coordinate. So the coordinates of A would be 5 for the x coordinate and then up to 6 on the y coordinate. And of course there's information in the textbook if you need to review how to name points. It's always the x coordinate first, then the y coordinate. Now in the next section it says plot the following points in a graph and identify which quadrant each point lies in. Identify a screenshot of your graph. So I did attach graph paper to the assignment that you can use. I have 2 versions of it. One version is an image, a JPEG. So depending on what your drawing program is, you might be able to use drawing tools to put the points on your graph and label them. Like for example, what was the first one? Well, let's do B says -3, 5.5. So you would need to go to -3 on the x-axis and then up to 5.5 and then put a point there. My point is a little bit big. And then you're supposed to label it. So this would be number, is it A? This would be 2A. So I would just label that A. If I can do that without being too sloppy. That's really fat. I could probably change how fat my width was, but I didn't. And then you would do the same thing for B, C, and D. Or there's a PDF version of this graph paper. So this would be good if you wanted to print it and just take a picture of your answers. And you can print as many copies as you need or open as many copies as you need for the other problems later on. All right, then it says consider the graph y equals 3. Now, if you know what the graph y equals 3 looks like, you can discuss it. If you don't, then you can use technology to graph so that you can find out what it looks like. So when I say use technology to graph, if you don't have to show me the graph, like in this one, you don't have to show me the graph, you could use a graphing calculator, like a TI-83 or whatever you have. If you don't have a graphing calculator, then we have different programs to use. One of them is Geometer Sketchpad. Geometer Sketchpad is available on the desktop, the student desktop. You have to log in with your Citrix receiver in order to get to this. It's not available as a web app. But it's a great program, and if I wanted to graph the line y equals 3, I go to Graph, Plot New Function, and type in the part after the equal sign. This is the same as y equals 3. I can change this if I need to, or if you don't like it this way. You can change the, under equation, you can change the notation, but it doesn't matter, it's the same graph. And when I graph it, I see, oh, great, that's a horizontal line. So then when I get to go back to the question, which was, which quadrants does it pass through? Oh, I forgot to talk about quadrants. So this is in the textbook, but quadrant 1 is right here where it's all positive. And then it goes quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So it goes counterclockwise, starting with quadrant 1 being up in the upper right. So this question 3 said, which quadrant does it pass through? It was a horizontal line right here. It only went through quadrants 1 and 2. And when you graph these, you'll find some other quadrants that it might go through. So here's some more questions. So again, you can use graphing technology or you can use graph paper for this assignment. In the future, we will almost always be using graphing technology, mostly one that you can share with me. So the next assignment is actually practicing using GeoGebra or Geometer Sketchpad, the one I showed you. And then in the third assignment for the week, I believe it's the third one, it's using Desmos, which is another online graphing tool. So go through these questions, use a graph, and let me just show you in Sketchpad how to do a little bit more of this. So here's Sketchpad again. I showed you how to make a graph under graph. Also under graph there's plot points. So you can enter the coordinates of a point and plot it, and you'll see that it pops up here. Another way to plot points is just to grab this point tool, and like if you needed a point at 1, -3, you can just put a point there. You can grab the A tool to click on it and change the name of the point, so you can label it, and if you double click you can change that to something else. And there's lots of other tools that we can use and will use in the future. GeoGebra is also a tool that we use. This is going to be a little bit hidden, but GeoGebra is available free as a web version. You can create an account, and if you do, then you can save your work. So I have an account, so you can sign in, and then what happens now, it knows that it's me. What happens is that you can save what you're doing. So let's say that I wanted to make this thing here is where you can make points. Let's say I labeled my points, I did the problem. You can take a screenshot to submit this, or you can save it. Let's see, I can click on this tool here, and then I can save my work. I can change the title to, maybe I want to call it week 4 assignment. Maybe I want to type it correctly, maybe I don't. And then you can click save. And now it's saved, and now when you save this, let's see, where's my, there it is. I knew it would give me eventually a link. I can copy it, and then you can paste that into your worksheet. Like let's say you did number 2 in GeoGebra. I did not put those in the correct place, but then for your answer, instead of printing a piece of paper and writing them by hand, you can just put this link in there. Make sure you click a spacebar after it to turning it into an active link so that I can just click on it to see it. Otherwise, it's a little more work for me. So that's one way that you can turn this in with GeoGebra. Desmos does the same thing, but Desmos does not have a tool where you can just make points like that. There's a tool where you can enter the points you want to graph in, so it's super useful for algebra, but it's not so useful if I want to check if you know where the points are. Alright, so we've got different questions to fill out. There's a reading assignment that goes along with this, so if you don't know the difference between a continuous and a discrete function, it's in the reading assignment. You can look it up. You should be reading. And there's more questions too about the different quadrants, the X and Y axes, things like that. So again, if it says to plot, when it says attach a screenshot or a link, or if you do this assignment in Sketchpad, let me show you a couple more things in Sketchpad. One thing is you can make more pages. So maybe you did all of problem 2 on this page and you need a new page to do problem number, say 10. Go to File, then go to Document Options, and you can add a page. You can add a blank page, or you can make a copy of the page you just did. And then again to Graph, you're going to go to Graph. You can just define the coordinate system, just puts your grid back up. Or you can go to Graph, Plot Points, or Graph, Plot New Function, depending on what you needed to do on this page. So you can add as many pages as you want, and down in the bottom you'll see the different page numbers of the pages you've added. So you can keep adding pages, and then when you're done in Sketchpad, this is probably the biggest advantage of Sketchpad, is you can save your work. So you can save this as a Sketchpad file. So you can you know, wherever you save your assignments, name it and everything. The only thing is that you're using the Minnow Student desktop in order to access this, so you have to stay logged into the Minnow Student desktop to find this file when it's time to attach it. So you'll have to log into Blackboard from there and search for your file, because it doesn't move over to your regular desktop. So work through these. There's not that many questions, but it might be a bit of a review and a little bit of practice with technology and answering the questions. And again, there is a reading assignment, so look these things up and make sure you understand what the questions are asking. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll help you out. Thank you.